Hello and welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all of the masterpieces and trashterpieces of genre cinema. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris, and you get worse at that each time.
Thanks for the compliment. Great start to the episode.
Sorry, you just, you might have to have your inhaler ready.
Yes, well I haven't got long left in my 20s, so I'm getting old, clearly.
Yeah.
Old and overweight, here I am. Talking to you about talking ducks. What a life. So, this week, Marvel released their first MCU horror film, directed by Sam Raimi. Legend of the genre. Yeah?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness. But we're not talking about the first Doctor Strange or anything linked to that. However, we are talking about another multiverse film.
Yeah.
A film that is definitely amongst the list of films people expect us to discuss.
It was definitely there. It was one we were holding off, wasn't it?
For a one-off, we're not doing Shitty Superhero Month again. Thank fuck. We are discussing another Marvel film. We are discussing Howard the Ducking Duck.
Okay.
Might as well start the duck puns now because, I mean, it's pretty much all this film has.
Yeah. Pretty much all it's got going for it.
Howard the Duck, a new breed of hero, released in 1986.
Whew.
Directed by Willard Hook, but with a Y. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Willard Hoyk. Yeah, let's say Hoyk.
Director of Messiah of Evil.
Okay.
French Postcards and Best Defense.
Oh, okay.
Co-writer of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
Nice.
American Graffiti and more.
Oh, wow.
And
so a good pal of George Lucas there.
Yeah, also a script doctor on Star Wars A New Hope.
Script doctor, is that the word?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, I never knew that.
And somehow, he made this weird, bizarre, I'd easily say, without an exaggeration, the most bizarre big budget film aimed at a family audience ever made.
I'm going to say it now. We all make choices. But this film made some fucking choices. Yeah, crazy that it's big budget.
You know, obviously, I'm a big Marvel fan. I love the character. I haven't read a full Howard the Duck comics. He's popped up here and there in comics I've read. Of course, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, in the post-credits scene, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Briefly in Avengers Endgame, which I didn't realise until today.
In Marvel vs. Capcom, I think.
He's in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah.
He's...
The video games.
Yeah, he's a great character. A really funny character, and I hope we get to see more of him in the MCU. Which makes this even more sad that this ended up being a trashterpiece and not an actual good film. Because it could have been really good.
There was potential there, and I think that's what I sort of came away from the film. I don't want to go straight to the end. But there's potential there that we'll talk about.
Made on a budget of $37 million, and it made $37.9 million worldwide. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a bomb.
Yeah.
Really.
Parents probably... I mean, the 80s were a weird time, and a lot of stuff was released for kids that probably shouldn't have been released for kids. But a few parents probably seen this, and they're like, oh, hang on a minute, there's no way I'm taking my fucking kids to see that. Like, this is so risque for a kids film.
It's a film that could only have been made in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, really seriously, you couldn't have made that today with any level of sincerity.
Well, if they do reboot it now, they're going to have to do it as an adult targeted film.
Absolutely. Which is pretty much what it was meant to be.
So getting into the trivia, according to reports at the time of the film's release, George Lucas had just built the $50 million Skywalker Ranch complex and was counting on this film to get him back in the black. Yeah, because George Lucas produced this. This is a Lucasfilm Limited film, which is even more ridiculous. When it bombed, he was forced to start selling off assets to stay afloat. His friend Steve Jobs, yes, that Steve Jobs, offered to help by buying Lucasfilm's newly launched CGI animation division for a price well above market value. Lucas, in dire straits and thankful for the assistance, agreed. That division eventually became Pixar Animation Studios.
Nice.
So Howard the Duck is responsible for Pixar.
Yeah. Well, thank God. All is forgiven. For a film, you know me. I love my Toy Story films. So if the creation of this dire film led to the creation of Toy Story, then it's 5-star. 5-star masterpiece. Done. Podcast episode done. We don't need to talk anymore.
Well, Lea Thompson was in this. Star of Back to the Future trilogy, Some Kind of Wonderful, Jaws 3D.
Caroline in the City.
Yeah, so she's in this. We've got a few bits of trivia about her. In a Twitter comment, she confirmed that she still has a Les Paul guitar, Cherry Bomb, and sometimes still plays it.
Nice.
She did all of the singing for all of her songs.
She certainly did.
In the characters' band, as did the other actresses in the group. On the 2009 DVD, she states that even during filming, the studio had not made a final decision as to whether to keep her singing voice or dub her.
I think she does well. I do think she does well. I don't think she has the best material to sing.
No.
One of the band members, whose name I'm getting up here, Holly Robinson Pete, who went on to gather some fame for 21 Jump Street a year later. She had a fantastic singing voice.
Yeah.
And probably should have been the lead singer of the band.
Yeah.
But, choices.
Lea Thompson.
I'm going to say that a lot, Jules. I'm just warning you now. And there's going to be a lot of times where we're going to give a fact or something's going to happen in a film. Right? Choices.
Lea Thompson designed her characters look after Cyndi Lauper and Madonna.
Did she?
I don't
Or
really
did she design it after crinkle cut chips? That hair is crimped for the gods.
It is. For her 1980 style look, she had to have her hair styled for about 2 hours each day.
Yeah.
To get it as crimped as that.
Exactly.
She admitted later that she was not very happy about the treatment and should have worn a wig instead.
Should have. Her hair was frazzled. Absolutely frazzled.
Yes.
It must have destroyed her poor hair.
In October 5th, 2017, a 70mm print of the film was screened at the Egyptian Theatre's Beyond Fest, with over 400 people attending. Lea Thompson attended the screening as well, and said that the event was better than the initial premiere of the film.
Of course.
Yeah, it's got a cult following now. People love this film. And do you know what? I love this film, just not for the right reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, the second time we've watched it now, you kind of feel like turning it off once it reaches the hour mark, though, because after that it just goes on for so fucking long.
I know, something else I will continue to say, it's much lengthier than it has any right to be.
Following a test screening, Universal executives Sid Sheinberg and Frank Price were allegedly arguing about who was to blame for greenlighting the film, which ended in a fist fight.
Oh my god. There's a lot of films that should have ended in a fist fight.
George Lucas spent $2 million on Howard's duck suit, and 8 different actors worked inside the costume. According to the special features on the DVD release, a child actor was intended to be the main Howard, but it didn't work out. So another actor, Ed Gale, ended up performing most of the major scenes as Howard, earning a credit at the start of the film.
I suppose
his eyes look like Theodore Rex.
He looks like Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin meets Theodore Rex.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of well made, but so well made, it's creepy.
Yeah. Second consecutive financial failure for director William Hu. The director. His previous film, Best Defense, was also a box office flop. The failure of this film killed off his directing career for good, and he never made another film after this one.
I think we do get this a lot on the podcast, where someone has had a role within a major film that's done really well, either as a screenwriter, a script doctor, a cinematographer, and done a good job and been well praised, and then they sort of think that means they can be a director, and so they direct a film and it doesn't work out very well.
Yeah.
I think it's happened a lot on the podcast. The one I'm thinking of is Freddie Francis for Trog, who was a well-renowned cinematographer.
Oh, yeah.
Really at the top of his field, and then directed Trog.
Yeah.
What?
It is weird. I mean, this film, by all accounts, with the team involved, there's no reason why this should have been bad.
No, and with the material as well.
Yeah.
There's no reason. No.
It won 4 Razzies.
Yes.
It won Worst New Star, the 6 guys and gals in the duck suit.
Oh.
Worst visual effects, worst screenplay.
How can you blame that performance on them? They're just in the... They're just waddling around. I mean, they do their part quite well, really.
Worst visual effects, worst screenplay, and worst picture, which tied with Under the Cherry Moon.
Yeah, they hated Prince.
It was also nominated for worst director, worst supporting actor for Tim Robbins, and worst original song for Howard the Duck Song.
Yeah, justified. No Lea Thompson
I am
nomination?
shocked. I am absolutely shocked.
I'm shocked at that.
Lea
actually.
Thompson was not nominated because her performance is fucking awful.
She probably should have been. And we usually defend actresses on this podcast, but I think she definitely deserved a nomination at least.
I mean, even Tim Robbins isn't as bad as Lea Thompson in this. Like, it isn't great.
Who was she up? Who would she have been up against? I'm just having a little nose. You know, it's always professional. So she would have been worst actress, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. Kim Basinger for 9.5 Weeks. Joan Chen for Taipan. Bridget Nielsen for Cobra. Ali Sheedy for Blue City. And the winner, Madonna for Shanghai Surprise.
Oh, there we go.
There we are.
Oh, so this was the same year that Shanghai Surprise would have been on for original song.
Yes.
Did it win? I think it won, didn't it?
It would. Yeah, it won.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won. Shanghai Surprise.
But that's great because both Shanghai Surprise, the song, and the Howard the Duck song are just as bad as each other.
They are.
That was a rough year for theme songs.
They do that thing where they just... Oh, no, it didn't win.
What won?
Love or Money for Under the Cherry Moon.
Jesus.
The Prince film. Yeah, no, it didn't win. It was nominated, though.
George Lucas's close friend John Landis was originally slated to direct the film, but after reading the script, he turned down the opportunity due to the police car crashes in the finale, because he felt this was too similar to that of his previous film, The Blues Brothers. No, John Landis just didn't have the heart to tell George Lucas that his script was fucking abysmal.
It was abysmal.
How can you blame it on not wanting to direct more police car crashes? Shut the fuck up. That's awful. What a terrible excuse.
Yeah, and the car crashes was like the worst part of Blues Brothers. I will admit, I didn't like Blues Brothers.
Yeah, we're in the minority. Let's not make people hate us.
No,
due to the movie's disastrous box office performance domestically, the title was changed to Howard, a New Breed of Hero, for release outside the US, with the hope that I'd have it do better.
What, so people didn't know it was a duck?
Yeah.
God's sake.
The original Marvel comics was similar to the style of Deadpool, with adult-oriented humour. This was toned down for the film to make it appeal to younger audiences. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't toned down that much.
It really wasn't toned down. But this is
toned down in all the wrong places.
This is where it goes wrong. Like, who are you making this for? Who are you making this film for?
It doesn't know its audience.
In July 2021, actor Chip Zien, who voiced Howard, revealed in an interview with a Hollywood Reporter that Robin Williams was originally cast for the role. But Williams quit after only a week out of frustration over syncing his voice to the Duck's animatronic Bill. An actor to voice Howard had not yet been cast during filming, so all of Howard's lines were read on set by the puppeteers, and the Bill moved to fit their bland delivery. That made it impossible for Williams to use his wild improvisational style in post-production because it didn't really work with the Bill movements. The producers immediately called Zine, who had previously auditioned, and told him he had the part but needed to fly to California that night.
Okay, number one, Robin Williams, it would have worked.
Yeah.
But it would have worked in the same way Robin Williams as the genie worked. Yeah, there's no way they could have just... the Bill going up and down...
Yeah.
Blah, 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 and then him trying to fit to them. They have to try and fit to Robin Williams's voice acting. So, yeah. I reckon that would have worked really well.
If you have Robin Williams on board, then why not just get him to do it at the time?
Exactly.
Why would you waste that opportunity?
Put him in the fucking suit.
Much of John Barry's soundtrack for the film went unused after producer Gloria Katz deemed it to be too old-fashioned and lacking in energy. Sylvester LeVay was hired to rescore much of the film, including nearly the entire final third act.
There are moments in the film where I feel the soundtrack is ripping off Superman.
Yeah.
And also ripping off James Bond.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is completely misused. There are like weird moments where the score is like going fucking full Chariots of Fire. When this animatronic duck is just kicking people. It's so strange. It really doesn't fit. And John Barry is a fantastic, composer for movie soundtracks. Not the right choice.
No.
At all. No. Get fucking... What's his name? Oh, the one that works for Tim Burton all the time.
Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman, get him to do it. He does a fabulous job with these kind of films.
So, as well as Robin Williams, John Cusack, Rob Paulson, Townsend Coleman and Martin Short all auditioned for the role of Howard.
Howard?
Yeah.
Oh, for the voice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For the role of Beverly...
Here we go.
Paula Abdul, Kim Basinger, Phoebe Cates, Jodie Benson, Belinda Carlisle, Sarah Jessica Parker, Laurie Singer and Tori Amos were all considered for the role.
Maybe not Sarah Jessica Parker, but I could see most of those actresses in that role.
Belinda Carlisle?
Yes.
No, I mean actress, Belinda Carlisle.
Wow. The performance we got from an actual actress wasn't the best. But Belinda Carlisle could have made the singing a bit less cheesy. It is that weird 80s film thing where a band, particularly with women involved, are made to seem like heavy, and the crowd that go to see them are proper punks, rockers, that spit in your eye and, have a mosh. And then they're there singing what is essentially a pop rock song with like crimped hair and everything, not really looking that rocky. And they're like, and then these people, like really tough looking people, like rocking out to it. Yeah. It's like, I think Belinda Carlisle maybe would have made that work a bit better.
Should have just got Madonna to do it.
Should have just got the Go-Go's.
Yeah.
And just had the Go-Go's as the band.
Do you think Madonna would have been better? No.
I don't
Plain
know.
type.
Maybe.
But finally, another legend considered for the role, an audition for the role, Scream Queen and B-movie legend Linnea Quigley said she auditioned for the role of Beverly and was very upset when she didn't get it. But then she saw the final film and was incredibly relieved she didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
Hun, come on.
We love you. You're a legend. But anyone who starred in Murder Weapon...
Nightmare Sisters.
has no room to judge Howard the Duck.
She has been in so much random shit. This could have been her big breakthrough role. You know?
I wouldn't go that far. But luckily Lea Thompson had 2 other films close by that would have made her more famous.
Lea Thompson's agent must have hated her in the 80s. Fucking got a Jaws 3D in this.
I think Linnea Quigley could have made it work.
Yeah.
If they played up a very ditzy nature. You know, Linnea Quigley is very good at playing a sort of ditzy character. If they'd played that up a little more, and she can do, you know, the rocker thing, she did it perfectly in
Return
of the Living Dead. She would have been probably more comfortable with more adult humour as well, so they could have made the film more in keeping with the comic books. Yeah. I think she would have done well. But yeah, probably best not to judge Howard the Duck when you've been in some iffy films.
Well, getting into the film, a sarcastic humanoid duck is pulled from his home world to Earth, where he must stop an alien invasion with the help of a nerdy scientist and a struggling female rock singer.
Yeah, that's about it, really. We get some credits over shots of a city. I'm assuming it's meant to try to be New York.
Yeah.
With some smooth jazz playing. Very setting a scene of very Dick Tracy.
It is, yeah.
That's an interesting name there. I'm going to say something. I feel like if the film had been Howard the Duck, detective...
Yeah.
Going proper Philip Marlowe, Maltese Falcon, with that sarcastic sense of humour and the sort of adult nature. This could have been a really fucking great film.
Yeah.
I was more interested in this part than the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know, no pun intended, but the duck out of water narrative, I wasn't that interested in.
No.
It was this, and I don't know if the comic books deal with this part much.
Perhaps, yeah.
And it would have been interesting. Howard returns to his apartment as the smooth jazz continues to play, and we get a few posters around, don't we? What's have you got them down?
Yeah, so we get My Little Chickadee, starring May Nest.
Nice.
Splash Dance, and Breeders of the Lost Stork. It also says...
Breeders of the Lost Stork.
Yeah. It also says on Wikipedia, Howard the Duck is 27 years old.
Oh, wow.
And lives on Duckworld, a planet similar to Earth, but inhabited by ducks and orbited by twin moons. So yeah, 27-year-old Howard is coming home to his apartment.
Yeah, there's some creepy family photos around, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, I cannot stress how much these animatronic ducks look so creepy. Like, really, they look like they're staring directly into your soul. What's that bird? An African stork. That has very piercing eyes. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a very large stork native to Africa, and it's, you know, the photos go around in Instagram every so often, like, whoa, check out this stork. And it really, the eyes are so piercing. It's a bit like that. It's like, looks directly into your soul. They're so creepy. I'd love to see one in real life. Do you think they've got them somewhere?
Maybe.
Like Hard Rock, no, not Hard Rock Cafe. What's Planet Hollywood?
Planet Hollywood.
And shit like that. I'd love to see one in real life. Scary. Keep me up at night.
He has a voicemail from someone called Wendy.
Yes.
Hi, it's Wendy. I had this really intense dream last night, Howie. I was running my fingers through your feathers and all of a sudden... Ooh. Well, you better come over tonight and I'll show you what really happened next. Ciao for now, Howie. Hang on a minute. Like, what the fuck are you going to show him when he gets to that apartment?
I love how wherever any woman in any film is trying to be sexy, your impression is just Jennifer Tilly.
It has to be. She sounded a bit like Jennifer Tilly.
But, do you know what that was also giving me?
What?
Laura Palmer calling up old Russ Tamblyn in Twin Peaks.
Maybe that's... this is before Twin Peaks. It's probably
before
inspired it.
Maybe. I had a dream last night, Dr. Jacoby.
But no, I mean, as we find out soon enough, he doesn't get to go over and
no,
find out what really happened.
That would have been an interesting part of the film.
But I don't think he intends to, because he turns the TV on.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly rush out to go see her, bless her. What's on the TV?
An advertisement for Jock Itch.
Jock Itch.
A game show, a doctor's drama, and a guy smashing up radios whilst advertising them.
Yeah, I also like the duck version of Solid Gold, or like in the UK, Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, itchy crotch spray. Nothing I'm too familiar with, but...
Why the fuck would a kid watch this like, oh yeah, haha, Jock Itch?
I don't know if there were adverts like that back in the 80s. I don't know if Jock Itch was a big deal back then. I suppose in the UK, sort of, sports aren't that, I don't know, like, prevalent in, like, advertising. It's usually just, you got smelly armpits, not a fungal infection around your genitals.
Well, so far we've had Wendy and her wet dream. Then we've had the Jock Itch advertisement. Then Howard pulls out a fucking play duck in his living room and goes to a centerfold. And he's sitting there like, It's like he's definitely got an erection. Like, he's absolutely about to have a wank. When his armchair suddenly propels him out of his apartment building. Now, again, reminder, the point we're at the moment. Wet dream, Jock Itch, centerfold. He zooms past a duck having a fucking bath with her duck tits out. She has got them on full display, nipples and everything. It looks horrifying.
It's so weird, so creepy. And for a kid's film, why have you got duck breasts on full display in a film for kids? Like, I hope that one's not a Planet Hollywood.
It's so straight. I really don't know who they thought they were making this for.
There's no words for it. I just don't know. I don't know. Choices, we all make choices, but duck tits, they're a choice. We also see an old couple in bed, not getting up too much, and a couple, I think, were having an affair in a lift, in an elevator. Because they seem like really, like, whoa, like they've just been caught getting up to something they're not meant to be doing in the elevator. We then get something multiverse.
Yeah, a narrator who we only get at this point in the film, telling us what's happened. He's gone into the cosmos of space, and whatnot, and then eventually lands on Earth in Cleveland, Ohio. This is actually a multiverse film.
This is a multiverse film.
So, do with that what you will.
In keeping with the theme of the week,
here
in the UK, Everything Everywhere All at Once will be released this week too. It wasn't deliberate on our part, but, might as well roll with it. And then you've got Doctor Strange? Strange?
That's his name.
Oh. My head was like Doctor Strangelove. I was like, no, that's a Stanley Kubrick film. Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So, I mean, in my mind, this is obviously, it's got to be in the MCU, hasn't it? I mean, it's in the multiverse.
Yeah, no, of course,
It's official, it's canon.
Yeah, definitely canon.
Upon arriving, Howard is picked up by a bunch of punks, passed through a nightclub where Cherry Bomb are playing Hunger City, thrown out... So it's very 80s punk, so very in keeping with the stereotypical punk of the 80s. I don't know what I think I called them hooligans. Hoodlums. They're passed to a very nerdy looking guy, Howard is passed to, as his date for the night. They're like, we've got a date for you,
Larry or whatever his name is, and they like hand him over, and this guy like grabs him, and then he's thrown out the club for being underage. He's like, oh, you don't fool me, kid, dressing up as a duck, you're underage. And Howard goes, no, that's my date over there. Yeah, Lea Thompson is... I wrote down slaying a performance. She is slaying a performance. She didn't properly slay until right at the very end. But she's performing on stage. Where she's performing has like a cage in front.
Yeah.
To stop people from throwing bottles at her. Howard's kind of harassed through the streets after this.
Yeah.
He ends up on a motorbike. He ends up hanging from a traffic lights.
Yeah, no, first he's thrown out next to some homeless people. Then he nearly gets run over by a motorcycle gang. Yeah, it's all over the place.
And it's the first of many times where I sat there, I was like, what's the point of this? This is just blowing up the budget.
Yeah. Oh, he accidentally fills up a couple who were making out in an alleyway.
He does, yeah. But it's like this, all the motorbikes, all the people involved, the sets and the, breaking of the traffic light and all that shit. I'm like, this is stuff that's not that important. And it's all going towards... You've already spent $2 million on this animatronic duck. And now you're having to put them in different situations that are just going to cost more and more and more and more. And this is a theme throughout the whole film. It's the first time I was like, what's the point of this? What's going on here? He ends up back in an alley somewhere or whatnot. And Beverly finishes her set. And she's walking home through the streets. She's harassed by a couple of hoodlums.
Yeah.
And Howard steps in to help.
Yeah.
His first act as a superhero.
Well, he breaks the fourth wall and says, that's it, no more Mr. Nice Duck.
Yes.
Then he informs the thugs that no one laughs at a master of quack fu.
I feel like this is the moment that was in all the advertising and why it didn't do very well. Like, the big joke was master of quack fu.
Yeah, 'cause everything's a fucking... duck joke in this film.
They get a lot out of it though.
More puns in this than Batman and Robin.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
After he saves her life from the thugs, the woman introduces herself as Beverly Switzler, lead singer of Cherry Bomb, and decides to take Howard to her apartment to let him spend the night, where he gives her his full life story.
Yeah, she's very... Beverly wonders if she's living a nightmare, and not just because of her overly crimped hair. She either feels sorry for or turned on by Howard. It's hard to tell with the acting.
We soon find out it's a bit of both.
Yeah, and invites him to hers to stay over, to stay out of the rain. Which goes totally against the phrase "nice weather for ducks." But I suppose.
But the joke is he can't swim.
Yeah, but he can't. They didn't. That's a pun that I made up that they didn't have. If she'd set a nice weather for ducks, not really. Beverly lives in a really rough building that her sleazy manager has procured for her.
Yes.
Howard is offended when Beverly suggests he may want a bowl to drink out of, and she also suggests that she's never had a pet before, and she doesn't know what to do if he has a shit on the floor. To which he's even more offended, because I'm assuming he uses the toilet. Thankfully, praise be to whoever's up there. Thank you for not including him having a shit on the toilet. We can just trust him on that one. They talk, they have a chat, and Beverly comes round to the idea of being in the presence of a talking duck pretty easily. Like, it doesn't take very... I find a lot of this film goes really quick.
Yeah.
And then there's a big part of it that goes on for far too long. And this kind of her kind of being shocked to begin with for about 10 seconds, and then just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's a talking duck, you know.
Yeah.
Might as well invite him back. We'll just have a nice chat. You know, she comes around to the idea of it really quickly.
Yeah.
After Howard falls asleep, she has a little nose in his wallet. What does she find in his wallet, Gary? A Blooming Ducks card.
Yeah. In a bizarre series of events, she finds that card. She finds pictures of him and other ducks, duck money, and a fucking tiny duck condom. I mean, why?
Will I put a condom fit for a duck dick?
Why on earth would you include this? I mean, I'm glad they did, but what the fuck? And she's just there like, oh, Howard.
But what's the joke? Like, the joke is... The joke is that the condom is of a size that would be suitable for a duck's penis, which would be different to a human's penis.
Also, it's not in a wrapper, so is it used as well?
I don't know.
It's a used
condom. It didn't look used. But I suppose they had it out the wrapper to make the joke about the size of it, and it would be sufficient for a duck's penis. But then you kind of have to... So to get the joke, really, you have to start thinking about a duck's dick. And
Not all of our listeners
and then
are
it's
thinking
like,
of
yeah,
duck's dick.
everyone right now. You might be Googling it as we speak. But it's kind of like, then you've just kind of creeped out and it's not funny anymore. It's just kind of weird.
You imagine the guy who had to make this for the film, the prop master, who, like... so we need you to do some work for us. Can you make a duck condom? Whatever you think a duck condom looks like.
Yeah.
Do you think that's still on the CV to this day?
He's probably got it in his own wallet.
Maker of
shows
duck,
it to everyone. Look what I made.
Yeah. He almost gets to use it a little later on, reuse it even. The following day, Beverly takes Howard in a bin bag to where Phil Blumber, played by Tim Robbins, a scientist who Beverly hopes can help Howard return to his world.
Oh, what a nerd. He wears glasses and
Yeah.
doesn't style his hair. Wow, he must be a right old nerd. And he is. He does a Donald Duck impression to try and communicate with Howard. So he's not even like a clever... It's a weird thing where this guy is meant to be a scientist and clever and nerdy, but he's also really stupid.
Yeah, well,
like,
I mean,
which one is he?
He's revealed to be only a janitor as well.
Well, he's an assistant, but assistant means also having to clean up puke.
Yeah, he explains the evolution of man to Howard. Howard resigns himself to life on Earth and rejects Beverly's aid. He doesn't want to know.
So essentially the premise of the film and this multiverse is the idea that instead of the apes evolving, it was ducks that evolved.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we get some hilarious jokes based around that.
Yeah. He doesn't want to know.
Howard just reads Phil a lot.
He does.
Throughout this. Quite rude. Yeah, they don't want to know. They piss off. Him and Beverly piss off.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're an idiot. You're just a lab assistant. Which I think was a bit harsh. Then, for some reason, Howard and Beverly have a falling out.
Yeah.
By the fountain outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea. Literally, I've put Howard and Beverly fall out as quickly as they became friends. Not 100% sure why, though. I have no idea. He's just kind of, oh, Beverly, I don't need you, you know. And she's like, oh, Howard. And he's like, no, I need to go about this on my own. And she's like, oh, well, you'll come crawling back, or whatever.
And he does, like, very fast.
He does, actually. But before then, he decides for some reason that the next logical step is to get a job.
Well, he scares off a group of kids before that, which is quite funny.
Does. But his idea is that, okay, I need to assimilate into Earth culture.
Yeah.
And assimilating means getting a job.
Yeah, goes to the job centre.
He does. He's lambasted by Cora May at the job centre. She believes his controversial image is to get out of working. She was in an episode of Golden Girls. It took me I don't know if you were struggling to picture where you knew her from, but she was in an episode of Golden Girls. Her son married Dorothy's... her daughter married Dorothy's son. Yeah. What's his name?
Yeah, so she's having a right go at him, and she bends over to grab a job ad, and he goes to bite her ass, but she turns around and shoves the job ad in his mouth.
Yes, and what's the job, Gary? It's not the job I thought you would get at a job centre.
No. Again, this family-friendly film. He gets a job at a sex sauna.
Yeah, it's a swingers club.
Yeah. And they're not subtle about it either.
No, not at all. No. So he goes, and it's this like sauna and whatnot, and the first thing you see is this topless woman. You don't see. You see duck tits, but you don't see hers.
No.
But a man's running up to her in his Speedo and hugging her, and they're kissing, and they go off into a room. It's very seedy, and it's very redly lit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's, very sweaty. He's the water expert. That's his job title, water expert, but he can't swim.
Yeah.
There's a problem with one of the hot tubs, so he's thrown into the hot tub to fix it.
Yeah, whilst a couple are having sex in there.
A couple are getting it on. I don't know if they're kind of kissing, but like really unsexy kissing.
Yeah. He also says it must be mating season.
Yes. Then there's an issue with the manager finds a lady's bikini top in a bath of mud. Mud bath, there we go, that's the term I'm looking for. Just swap them around, Chris. In a mud bath, and he said, I better get the water expert in here to fix this. So Howard kicks him, the manager, into the mud bath and quits.
Yeah.
And that's a real throwaway scene for absolutely no reason.
I'm glad it's included, but really, they could have just skipped past him falling out with Beverly and just carried on with the film, because none of this needed to happen.
Yeah, because after quitting, Howard goes back to the bar to see Cherry Bomb perform.
Yeah.
He overhears their manager, Ginger.
Well, before that, he watches a bunch of TVs in a shop window. They all happen to be showing stuff related to killing ducks at the exact same time.
Yeah. So it's duck hunting season.
Yeah.
There's an interview with a guy. He's like, we're going to shoot the fuckers. But it's censored. And then there's someone's made a nice roast duck.
Yeah.
Recipe.
A bit of Looney Tunes.
Yeah, a bit of Looney Tunes where Daffy Duck's getting beaten up. Yeah, he does, yeah. Oh, is it every 80s film has to have a moment where someone walks past a shop window where TVs are on full display? Like, seriously?
Yeah, it's the biggest 80s cliche.
I don't remember. I mean, I was alive for 2 years in the 80s, but I was alive in the 90s, and I don't remember that.
No.
Not here in the UK.
I think it's an American thing.
I think it's an American thing.
At the club where Cherry Bomb's performing, they're playing a slow song, and Beverly, the professional of the band, she's like, nah, fuck this song's too depressing, I ain't playing this shit anymore. So, do you know what, let's play something more up-tempo, ow. And they start...
Who knew you could do up-tempo?
And they start playing something faster, like, hang on a minute. You're playing to a packed audience. They're all watching you, and you literally just stopped your song, your own song, because it's too depressing. It starts.
No one seems to care anyway.
No one gives a shit. Like, the manager just wants to fuck her, so he doesn't care.
But I feel like the idea is that the slow, depressing song was in honor of Howard.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I feel. Like she's pining over Howard, even though this is some, humanoid duck creature that she's only known for one night that fell out with her at the drop of a hat for no reason. And she's seemingly wrote a song about him in one day and performing it. Now this is too depressing. Let's play something more upbeat. So Howard overhears their manager Ginger and his cronies talking about not paying the girls unless Beverly puts out.
Yeah. A fight breaks out. Howard wins. It's a really weird fight to watch.
It's very strange. He gets slid down the bar.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what's that advert? Like, I always wanted to do that. This is the new Jack Daniels one where she slides a drink down the bar. She's like, I always wanted to do that. Is that just me? That's that funny.
He eventually holds an ice pick to the manager, sacks him.
Well, he puts it through a loop in his ear.
Yeah.
So he can't. If he moved, the ring would get ripped out of his ear.
He tells him he's fired, takes the money, and threatens everyone at the bar with space rabies.
Yes. He says he's got space rabies and one bite, and they would die an excruciating death.
Howard rejoins Beverly backstage after the band's performance, walks in, and he talks about it's Howard's back. He's like, sex appeal, some people got it, some people don't. What?
Yeah.
Phil shows up with pizza and is like, sorry girls, missed the show, but I arrived in time to watch you get undressed. Like, why the fuck is everyone showing up and being all fucking predatory with this band?
Well, Phil's girlfriend, who we never see them together after this moment, is Annette, who plays in the band.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's come from. I suppose that's how Beverly would have known Phil.
Yeah.
And known that he works at the museum.
Even if no one would have questioned that.
No one would have questioned it. It would have been fine.
He's really happy to see Howard. He gets a call, and his girlfriend tries talking to him, but he's like, no sex, darling, I've got work to do.
Yeah.
He steals a feather from Howard and leaves. After Howard pays the band with the money he got from the manager.
Yes. Howard stays over at Beverly's.
Yeah, in a bizarre series of events. In the most popular series of events from this film. The scene that everyone knows this film for. Let's face it.
Yes.
Howard accompanies Beverly, back to her place. They go back and he dances to generic keyboard music that's pre-saved on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Begins to play keyboard while she's in the shower. He then tells her that he was part of Howard and the Heartbreakers in high school, and Beverly persuades him to be the band's new manager because of this, and he agrees after seeing her bending over her bed in her underwear.
Yeah, so she's got a cute little top on and she's just got knickers on the bottom and she bends over into bed. And he's like... Because initially he said, well, I've got to go home. I can't be your manager. I want to go home. And he's like, oh, well, I might be persuaded. I don't know why I gave him a Mae West.
Mae Nest,
excuse me.
The two begin to flirt. She said, oh, I just can't find the right man. And he's like, well, maybe it's not a man you should be looking for, doll. Oh. And then she says, should I be looking for love in the animal kingdom, ducky? It's like, oh, you're so soft. Oh. And then she starts feeling him up. His feathers stick up, indicating he has an erection. She tells him how she can't resist his animal magnetism. He tries to resist. She tries to take her top off and he stops her. But then they kiss.
Kind of. She says she's only kidding though, doesn't she?
Bitch, she ain't kidding. Like, this is honestly ridiculous. I don't even know what else to say about it. Like,
I don't get it in a family-friendly film. Oh, try saying that 5 times fast. Or what is meant to be a family-friendly film. Even in the comic books, that would be really weird.
But it'd be funny because it's targeted towards adults, so you could get away with including something like this, and it'd be funny.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. I mean, it's very entertaining seeing Lea Thompson trying to get it on with a dog, but yeah, it's just fucking bizarre.
Yeah, there's not really much to say except it's just really strange. It just makes no sense.
The
next morning, or is
no,
it still
it's
night?
during. Like they're kissing behind sheets, aren't they?
Yeah.
And,
okay. Oh yeah. Silhouette kiss. Isn't it?
They're interrupted by Phil and two of his colleagues, who revealed that a laser spectroscope they were inventing was aimed at Howard's planet, and that's what transported him to Earth when it was activated.
Yes, apparently it was their fault.
Yeah.
They think they can send him back though.
Yeah.
But Phil is upset as he wants Howard to do the talk show circuit.
Yeah.
He wants to make some money off Howard.
Yeah, Howard. They decide to do it through reversal of the same process. And Howard quotes Casablanca to Beverly on the way to the laboratory.
Yeah, Howard and Beverly have a fond farewell moment, even though they've only known each other for 2 days. And he didn't talk to her for most of the previous day. And also, we're not really that far into this film.
No.
That's what I put here, not knowing how much shit was going to go on for the rest of this fucking film. It's weird. I feel like a lot was cut from this film. Like, this was meant to... It's one of those films that could have been 4 hours, and they had to cut it down massively. And I feel like they've cut so much from the development of their relationship before this point. And I don't mean getting a bit of duck dick. I mean in terms of their friendship. I feel like this moment where they have a really sincere, fond farewell at the back of a truck is just kind of means nothing, because I was just sat there like, bitch, you barely know him.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea who he is, and he's like, oh, I think I'll miss you most of all. And like, you haven't developed a friendship between these two. You haven't developed anything. You haven't developed their characters, really.
No.
So none of this means anything. Luckily, we've got a fucking long time after this as well to try and develop something.
Yeah.
Because the laser beam that brought him to Earth has now malfunctioned.
Yeah.
And Jennings has disappeared.
Yeah.
And the police have arrived.
The police have arrived. They strip Howard to his boxers, and then only to dress him up in new, really flamboyant clothes.
Yeah.
And they try arresting him for being an illegal alien. This just comes out of nowhere. Like, who the fuck even called the police?
Yeah, I don't know who called the police, but they do arrest him for being an illegal alien.
Yeah.
Which is a term that is used for someone who is illegally in the country.
Yeah.
So this film, and it made me think, I was like, oh wow, this film could have been a really interesting allegory on tolerance and of, assimilating into cultures, but also being tolerant of other cultures, of racism or xenophobia. I mean, this could have been a really interesting allegory wrapped up in a silly comedy, but it could have actually meant something.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of annoying, is that actually there is something that could have been meaningful in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that's the disappointment, because I have been entertained up to this point and for a little longer. But it actually could have meant a lot more.
Yeah.
Because sometimes comedy is a great way of getting a message out there. Same way horror is as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of looked down on in many cases. I think, as kind of a lesser genre.
Yeah.
Or one that isn't as clever as others. But you can get a lot of interesting messages out through horror and comedy. And I think it's a real missed opportunity with Howard the Duck that they couldn't get that message across, because, I mean, it writes itself.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a duck on Earth being mistreated, you know, but there's never a moment where the idea is sort of the allegory is brought up and sort of to real life. It's just a lot of duck jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think nowadays, if there's a film, how the duck film made, that's probably how they would go.
I think
it.
so. I'd rather, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'd rather they just stuck with the duck detective part.
Yeah.
Which I'm not. He wasn't even a detective, but it gave all the inklings of him being a detective at the beginning. But I would have enjoyed that with a few duck puns and such.
But during the sequence, Lea Thompson's performance peaks. It is fucking awful. It's so bad. When she helps him escape, it just... Yeah, I feel like she was trying maybe a little too hard.
She was. You could see you could see her trying. You could see it behind the eyes. The clock was ticking. You know, you could see the cogs going round, and she's like, oh, okay. I feel like no one told her what to do, so she just kind of had to try and make...
Yeah.
You know, and maybe she hadn't had much of a comedy career up to this point.
No. As they try to escape, they run into Dr. Walter Jennings, who is possessed by a life form from a distant region of space, and they all escape together. They then visit a cultural appropriating diner.
I have no idea. I don't understand why this diner, like all-American diner, everyone is dressed up in stereotypical Japanese headwear.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's not like a bar themed after Japanese culture or anything like that at all. It is just an American diner.
But there's not a sign outside that says, you know, this is a Japanese diner, or tonight's special is sushi, or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're all wearing these hats.
No, and they're served what looks like a fucking full English breakfast.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
The creature, when they get to the diner, the creature introduces itself through Dr. Jennings as the Dark Overlord of the universe, and demonstrates its developing mental powers by destroying a table, utensils, and condiments.
Yeah, he's becoming redder and more erratic.
Yeah.
As the scene goes on. This scene goes on for a very long time.
Howard has served eggs in the meantime and is horrified and asks the waitress if she thinks he's into cannibalism.
Yeah. But the running joke is that as Jennings is like, I can feel it building inside of me, and he's getting more and more, you know, redder and bloated as well.
Yeah.
He must have eaten the tuna or something. You know, everyone keeps making jokes like he's had some bad food.
Yeah.
But you get it like 4 times. It's okay. Get it.
Yeah, this is the point where the film starts to go on for way too long. This is the turning point.
Yeah. They go to leave, and 3 sort of trucker stereotypes with caps think that Beverly is cute and that Howard is Jennings' ventriloquist dummy. Howard insults them and a fight ensues. And then everyone in the diner decides to cook Howard, despite Beverly calling Howard her boyfriend.
Yeah, that only causes like a second of disgust.
Yeah, and one of them turns around and says, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And then they go into the kitchen. Everyone in the diner, this is like Dawn of the Dead territory, is crowding around Howard. A chef, I suppose it was the chef.
Yeah.
And I think he was played by a Japanese actor. So I don't know what the joke is here. And I don't think I want to know what the joke is here. But he's ready to cut off Howard's head so they can roast him. Jennings then decides this is the time to perk up.
And before that, Lea Thompson's going around like, you don't make me proud to be a human. Well, shut the fuck up, Lea Thompson. And then she goes up to Jennings. She's like, oh, they're being so violent. I hate violence. Get in there and beat them up.
It's that kind of humour, yeah. So he finally perks up, starts making shit explode.
Yeah.
Not actual shit, just random shit. So he can get a code key. So he has a code key that allows him to start the laser. It's not explained why he wants the code key at this point, is it?
No.
No, but he's after this code key that Howard has, or Howard gave it to one of the truckers and gets back. I don't fucking know. I actually really don't care at this point. Howard and Beverly, well, everyone runs out apart from Howard and Beverly. They then try to escape, but Jennings traps them and sends Howard spinning on the ceiling, like Lionel Richie. He kidnaps Beverly so that a dark overlord can grow inside her body.
Yeah.
So he explains that these dark overlords from space or wherever can only come to Earth if they can take over a body as a host. This is why he has abducted Beverly. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
This is why he's allowed Beverly to live, because he wants to use her body as a host for a dark overlord. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
This is very clear in the film. This is why he's doing that. He then inserts his large phallic tongue into the cigarette lighter of a truck that he's stolen, as to give him more energy. And it was very phallic because the tip of it was absolutely a helmet.
It was.
Absolutely.
And again, in this same scene, he's like, I need your body. And Lea Thompson's like, creep. I've heard that one before.
Yeah. Which it is, in fairness, throughout the whole film, Lea Thompson is harassed by many men. It's very... It's I'm assuming it's a running joke, but it's very true. Howard helps a now arrested Phil escape.
Yeah, why is Phil there and why is he arrested?
I don't know why he's been arrested. He doesn't actually say. Oh, I think he may have.
I don't know what the police are after.
I genuinely stopped caring. Because I was just like, oh, he's just there. It just happens. Choices are made. So he helps Phil escape from the police car, and they strive to save the day. They try to steal they do steal a plane. They do steal a plane. Of course they do. Because there's another scene that goes on for far too long. But Howard's a bit apprehensive. He says, if God had intended us to fly, he wouldn't have taken away our wings. To which Phil tells him that's very profound. Not very profound is this film. Howard still mans an old-fashioned plane. Yeah. So it's like Wright Brothers territory. Mm-hmm. I don't know where they get this plane from. I must have like not noticed a scene where they actually get this plane. But he mans it. He's piloting it to go and save Beverly. Jennings arrives at the, I don't know, what are we calling it? Science lab?
Laboratory.
The laboratory where the laser is. He starts wreaking havoc throughout. What I don't understand, he's kidnapped Beverly, but then hides Beverly in there.
Yeah.
Pretends to be a visitor on a trip round, and then goes and finds Beverly and moves her anyway.
Yeah. They really wanted that 1 hour, 50-minute runtime.
Oh my god. Howard becomes more in tune with his ancient birdness, not my words, Phil's words, in an effort to fly through the streets of Cleveland. Now this goes on for fucking ages. It feels like half an hour of the film where he's just doing, whoa, oh, I can't fly this, oh, going too high,
long.
Going too low, oh, police car crashes,
duck pun.
Oh, duck pun. Oh, almost hit those pedestrians. Watch out. Oh, hey, I'm walking here. all that stuff
It does go
goes on for far too long. And this, I dread to think how much of the budget went on this scene. Absolute waste of money. Such a waste of money. Pointless. Ridiculous. Goes on for far too long. By the end of it, I was like, I don't care. I hope you crash.
I don't think I got a single note from that scene.
There's no point. I mean, this is, completely pointless. So I literally, off the top of my head, just did a few impressions of shit.
Yeah, it's accurate.
Thank you.
They arrive at the laboratory eventually. Something gets thrown at Howard and Phil's like, duck! And Howard's like, and proud.
Yeah. That was fucking funny. Or maybe I just lost the will to carry on. But that I thought was funny. It actually got a little laugh out loud from me. A lol. It got a lol from me.
They seemingly destroyed a Dark Overlord with an experimental neutron disintegrator.
Yeah, oh, you're not doing that justice. They find this disintegration laser, whatever it is, that Phil knows about, that's somewhere. And then they make a complete farce of it. Again, this goes on for far too long. Whoa, how do you man this thing? Complete farce of it. They end up shooting... I just said Jennings, because it's still Jennings, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they eventually manage to work it after a standoff. And the standoff feels like half an hour as well. And then another large explosion occurs with a "Is Howard dead?" fake out. I'm like, where is it? Where's Howard? Where's he gone? Oh. All this time, Beverly's been strapped to some table, sort of James Bond style.
Yeah.
With this laser about to shoot her and force some Dark Overlord into her body. Jennings is back to normal, good for him. And he tells them that the Dark Overlord in him has been released by the explosion, but is now in the lab.
Yeah.
He's 100% correct, as a large stop-motion slug-like creature appears, wrecking the joint. And I've put, seriously feels like they're deliberately trying to spend as much money as possible here.
Yeah, it's brought to life with some stop motion, which looks alright, actually.
It looks good. It's completely pointless.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to have this Jennings defeated and then this stop-motion creature appear?
We could have just had the stop-motion creature in the first
why
place.
wasn't
and
just
no
in
Jennings.
the first place? Yeah. Why have we had this fannying around with the laser part and then fannying around with the standoff, fannying around with where's Howard? That shit. And then we've got this. This is your sort of main antagonist now.
Yeah.
But
eventually the beast is defeated.
Yeah, it grabs
after lots more
Howard
faffing
and activates the laser to bring the other overlords down. Despite Jennings saying they needed a human host, which is why he kidnapped Beverly.
Yeah.
So he's like, 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever are going to come down now, and they're going to wreak havoc in the lab. But I thought that they had to have a human host in order to survive on Earth.
You'd think so.
But then there's this stop motion one that's going around perfectly fine.
Yeah.
All these other ones that are being brought down by this laser, it makes no sense. The Overlord shoots Beverly and Phil, which makes them sparkly and translucent, whilst Vibrant doing whoa. Tim Robbins is much better at that than Lea Thompson. Howard shoots the Overlord with the laser, which does the trick and saves Phil and Beverly.
Yeah.
Howard must then shoot the laser to stop the other Overlords, but it also means he can't return home. He destroys the laser, saying, "Goodbye, Duck World." The machinery falls on Howard, and we get another "Is Howard dead?" fake out.
Yeah, Lea Thompson
Howard.
really gives an emotional speech.
"Oh, Howard, I don't know where you are, but I hope you're happier there. This world didn't treat you good, but you saved it." Which would have meant more if they'd developed the characters a little more. He's not dead.
He's not dead.
He's alive. And then we cut to the Cherry Bombs performing to a much larger audience than before, because they're now managed by Howard the Duck.
Yeah, he's hired Phil as an employee on their tour.
Yeah, they dedicate a song to him.
Yeah.
Called... what's it called?
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, yes. Razzie nominated Howard the Duck.
Yeah, he joins them on stage and performs a guitar solo.
Is this a nod to Back to the Future?
I assume so.
But it only came out a year before. But it does... There are shots that are very similar to Marty McFly performing on stage. The song's bad. It is bad. I'm sorry. The only saving grace, and it's where I think we should finish, is Lea Thompson doing some variation on a death drop.
Well, the end credits start over the performance, and as they start, she does a death drop.
She does.
And after the credits partially finish, at the first lot of credits, they tell each other how much they love each other, her and Howard. And that's Howard the Duck.
And that's Howard the Duck.
So we're left believing they're actually in a relationship.
Yeah.
You finally got to reuse that condom.
Do you think they were making an effort to strive for a sequel?
Oh, of course they were.
It's not the most open of endings, but, he didn't return to his planet. He didn't... It's so weird. Really, they really fucked this up.
Yeah. This is a classic case of a trashterpiece. This is a film they really thought they were doing something with.
I was fully entertained.
They thought this was, going to be a big blockbuster hit. No, it's nothing of the sort. It was a disaster.
Yeah, I think it's a film that needs cutting down a lot.
Yeah.
An hour and 50 minutes. No, unnecessary. I think it needed more backstory. It needed more development.
Yeah.
Because him not going home didn't mean anything, because we barely saw him in one scene. I think they could have developed the illegal alien side of it more.
Yeah.
But it's so cheesy and stupid. It's so fucking stupid that I couldn't help be entertained.
Yeah. This is definitely up there in the Trashterpiece Hall of Fame. This is one that everyone knows about.
It's a go-to. Whenever anyone talks about Trashterpieces, it's definitely a go-to.
Yeah. So that's Howard the Duck. It's also a lot better than any of the the Fantastic Four films that we had to watch for the podcast from Marvel. So that's always a bonus.
We're better than the original Doctor Strange.
I don't know if we go that far. But yeah, that's Howard the Duck. So let us know on social media your thoughts on this iconic Trashterpiece. We are Horror Cult Trash over on Facebook and Instagram. Horror Cult Trash on Twitter. I'm Gaz92 on Letterboxd, Gazmo205 on Instagram, and GazCruise92 on Twitter.
I'm Chris Barker823 on Instagram and Letterboxd.
And if you like what you hear, give us a rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Like, follow anything else, give us a rating on Spotify. Today, Tuesday, the 3rd of May, we appear on 2 other podcasts.
2.
Like, if you haven't had enough of our voices yet, you can check out Life's But a Song podcast to hear us discussing Voyage of the Rock Aliens. Yes. Has a very similar stupid camp tone to this.
Yeah, the underrated.
And head over to the horror bandwagon as well to hear us discussing Jaws the Revenge. A not so fun bad film.
Yeah,
but a fun episode to record.
That's very true. That's hours of our voices stuck in your head.
Yeah, I believe they're available on all podcast streaming platforms, so
Absolutely.
Go check them out. Next week, it'll be double episode week. Starting on Tuesday with...
Fucking hell, we never shut up.
I know, yeah, you just can't get enough of us. On Tuesday with Robot Wars.
Yes. Yes.
To celebrate what?
To celebrate the return of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
And Lisa Rinna getting us out of a storyline this time around.
Lisa Rinna, she's going after Kathy Hilton, and we'll be watching her go after Robot Wars. Oh, Robot Wars or Robot whatever.
Wars.
We ain't watched it yet, so I don't know what she's going after. But she's going after, and you bet she's gonna tell it all.
Screaming gay rights going after Kathy Hilton.
She's her and Barbara Crampton. If you ever wanted to see them in a film together, Robot Wars is your film.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch that.
And then on Friday, it is of course Friday the 13th, and. Yes, we are still releasing an episode on each Friday the 13th film for Friday the 13th.
We are continuing that. You know, we're sticking by it.
Yeah.
Others wouldn't, but we have.
And this time around, we'll be discussing the Roy Burns classic, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Well, I hope you've already watched it, because that's a little bit of a spoiler.
Well, it isn't, because I haven't said what he does. He's just
the Roy Burns classic.
He's just an iconic character.
Yes. I'm going to save it all for the episode. Yeah. I've got a lot to say, and I'll save it for the episode.
Yes. So go listen to us elsewhere today, and for our podcast, we'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye.